Welcome to the presentation of a lecture from Gnostic Radio, a free public service from the Gnostic tradition of Samael Aun Weor. Gnosis is the root wisdom of all the world's great religions. Gnosis is a universal teaching of practical science, whose goal is absolute liberation from suffering and the complete development of the human being. This lecture is one of many available by free download or podcast. The hundreds of hours of lectures range in topic and complexity in order to address the many needs of humanity. Each Saturday, Gnostic Radio broadcasts live. The live lecture is accompanied by an online chat, allowing listeners to read additional explanations related to the lecture and providing an opportunity to ask questions of the speaker. To learn how to participate or tune into our continuous web broadcast, visit our website for more information at gnosticradio.org. Gnostic Radio is made possible by the financial support of listeners like you. For more information or to make a donation, visit our website at gnosticradio.org. Now, with heartfelt wishes for the end of suffering for all creatures, we begin the lecture. May all beings be happy.
Hey, behold, take this knowledge from God and receive it with your consciousness. The letter He represents creation. The letter He is 2 times in the sacred name of God, Yod He Vav He, which Kabbalistically explains the 2 creative polarities, male, female. Yod He in heaven and Vav He in earth. In heaven, the letter He, the woman, emanates from the androgynous heavenly man, named in Kabbalah Ishim. And in earth, the letter He, the woman, emanates from the androgynous terrestrial man, named in Kabbalah Adam. So, in order to Kabbalistically explain the letter He, the woman, we have to Kabbalistically explain the mystery of the 2 androgynous men, the heavenly man and the terrestrial man, Ishim and Adam, respectively. Likewise, we have to Kabbalistically explain the relation of the 3 mother letters, Aleph, Shin, and Mem, with the heavenly man and with the terrestrial man. And remember that everything was created with the Word, and that the Word was God. The entire mystery of the 22 letters of the Word of God is synthesized in the Kabbalistic phrase, Shem Hamfresh. So please pay attention. The letter He is formed from the letters Dalet and Yod. In the letter He, the horizontal line on the top and the vertical line on the right from the letter Dalet, which represents the physical world. In the letter He, the isolated left line in the lower part of the letter is a zayin that has been cut from the horizontal line that should be at its top. On a normal letter zayin, the top of it is a yod, which when downwardly prolonged, representing the word to come. Yet, in the He, that zayin has been cut and floats there, awaiting union with the Dalet. Therefore, the letter He represents the combination of the physical and spiritual realms, all that is above and all that is below. The left line or foot is also a letter Yod, If by means of action we prolong that yod, the disconnected line on the left of the hay, upwards, that yod may become a proper letter sayin. The isolated left line of the letter hay illustrates that hay is a feminine aspect of the letter dalet. The letter hay contains a letter dalet, but with the addition of the feminine line on the left. The letter dalet represents the Adam of the lower Eden, Yesod. Adam, dalet, in Yesod, the lower Eden, is the outcome of the secret of Da'at, the upper Eden. The letter dalet of the name Adam is at the bottom of the middle column of the tree of life, exactly in Yesod, the lower Eden. The letter Aleph is in the right column. The letter Mem is in the left column. Thus, the letters of the three columns spell the name Adam in Hebrew: Aleph, Dalet, Mem. Let us now talk about the three mother letters. To understand the three letters in the name of Adam, we have to understand the three mother letters of the Hebrew alphabet, which are similar to the letters in the name of Adam. The three mother letters are Aleph, Shin, and Mem, and are related with the first triangle of the tree of life, namely Keter, Chokhmah, Binah, respectively. Firstly, let us imagine that the tree of life is a diagram of us. Upon it, we see many forces. In particular, let us imagine these three pillars. The central column is related to our spinal column. It is through this column within us that many forces ascend and descend. In the midst of the spinal column is a very subtle channel for energy. The name of that channel in Sanskrit is Shushumna. On the right side of the spinal column is another channel of energy. This one is masculine, and it is symbolized by Adam. In Sanskrit, it is called Pingala. This channel carries a masculine or positive energy. On the left side of the spinal column is another channel of energy, which is feminine, and is represented by Eve. In Sanskrit, it is called Ida. So, we have three primary channels of energy that should flow harmoniously within our subtle physiology, and are the means through which the Holy Trinity flows within us. Aleph, the Father, the letter Aleph, represents the Holy Trinity that is commanded by the Father Keter, who is in the physical body related with the crown chakra and with the atom in that magnetic center located at the root of the nose. From that magnetic center at the root of the nose, esoterically speaking, the forces of Aleph, the breath of God, descend along the right column of the tree of life. From the top of the head, Keter, the crown chakra, in order to join Dalet at the bottom of the central column. According to esoteric human anatomy, The right column corresponds to the right energetic chord named in Sanskrit Pingala. Pingala is a masculine energetic force and can also be called Adam symbolically. So the name Adam can represent the brain and the energetic force related to it that floats on the right side of the tree of life. The right column in the human being relates to the letter Aleph, which represents the first triangle, Keter, Chokhmah, Binah. This is why the name Adam, that represents the brain, begins with Aleph. Mem, the mother. The left column of the tree of life is controlled by the Sephirah Binah, which is at the top of it. In the esoteric anatomy of our physical body, the left column is related with the left chord named Ida in Sanskrit, which is related with the letter Mem. Mem represents the feminine waters of Eve. This is why you find the letter Mem, final Mem, at the end of the word Adam. Thus, in relation to the terrestrial man, the Dalet of the name Adam is embraced by the two creative polarities, Aleph representing the father on the right column, and Mem representing the mother on the left column. The Dalet in the middle of the name Adam relates to the central column of the tree of life. Dalet represents the terrestrial man, the human being. At the bottom of the tree of life, Dalet hides all the forces from above. Yet, for that terrestrial human being to become a real human being made into the image of God, there must be action. The horizontal line represents thought. The right vertical line represents speech. And if we add a short vertical line on the left for action, then we form the letter He. These are the three aspects represented in the three lines that form the letter He. The joined horizontal and vertical lines in the He are a Dalet. The horizontal line represents the female and the vertical the male. These lines represent the Adam that was made male-female. So the Dalet in the middle of the word Adam encloses all the archetypes that come from above into the physical world, Malkut. The two lines of the letter Dalet represent male and female. In other words, we, terrestrial humans, are the letter Dalet itself, which Kabbalistically represents a poor man or a poor woman. So, the Dalet of the name Adam in the lower Eden, at the bottom of the central column of the tree of life, embraces the right and left columns. The letter Aleph at its right, Pingala, and the letter Mem at its left, Ida. Stated another way, the right and the left columns, which are father and mother, Ava and Aima, the letters Aleph and Mem, become creative when they join the Dalet at the Yesod, the bottom of the middle column. Therefore, Adam encloses the secret of all the 22 letters, since the Dalet at the bottom of the central column, which represents Shushumna in the esoteric human anatomy, receives the 22 archetypes of the Sephirah Chokhmah. Shin, fire, the Sephirah Chokhmah, is represented by the letter Shin, fire, one of the three mother letters. Through initiation, Shin joins all the lower archetypes in Dalet to the three mother letters. In Genesis, the verse, "And God said, let us make Adam," can be explained as follows. The word "and" is written as a letter Vav. Thus, through the letter Vav, the spinal medulla, Elohim, Aleph, uttered Shem Hamforesh, so that the 22 letters or archetypes can be established in Malkut within Dalet, the terrestrial men, by means of the letter Mem in Yesod. Let us talk about Shem Hamforash. Kabbalists utter Shem Hamforash instead of the name Yod-He Vav-He, that is translated in English as Jehovah. The word Shem is written with Shin and Mem and means name, which in the Bible is also the name of the first son of Noah. The word Hamforesh means to interpret or to expand. So, what name are we interpreting or expanding? It is the holy name of God, which is Yod-He Vav-He. When you hear the words Shem Hamforesh, this is equal to Yod-He Vav-He, which in Gnosticism we pronounce Yod-Hava. The Elohim work through our spinal medulla, represented in the letter Vav, which is also represented in the right vertical line of the letter He, as well as in the letter Dalet. The left short vertical line of the letter He is an unfinished Zayin, which in the He shows the feminine aspect of the letter Dalet. So, the left line of the letter He represents the feminine aspect of the letter. This is why it is separated, isolated, from the other two lines of the letter. To understand the hidden feminine aspect and how it is the letter He by this left short line, it is necessary to interpret the name of God as indicated by the phrase Shem Hamforesh. To interpret the name is to Kabbalistically find the numerical value of the name Yod-He Vav-He as follows. The letter Yod, his value is 10. The letter He's value is 5. The letter Vav's value is 6. And again, the letter He's value is 5. By making a Kabbalistic addition in relation with the four worlds of Kabbalah, which represents the entire universe, we have Kabbalistic value of 72 as follows. Atzilut, the world of the archetypes, represented in the letter Yod, is equal to 10. Bria, the world of creation, represented in the letter He, is 5, plus the value of Atziluth, 10 above it, gives a sum of 15. Yetzirah, the world of formation, represented in the letter Vav, has the value of 6, plus the value of Atziluth, 10, and Bria, 5, above it, gives a sum of 21. Asya, the world of the matter and action, represented in the fourth letter He, is 5, plus the value of Atziluth, 10, and the value of Bria, 5, and Yetzirah, 5, above it, gives a sum of 26. As you see, there are two He's in the name of God. The lower He represents action in Asya, Malkut. So, when we make the Kabbalistic addition of the 4 worlds of Kabbalah, we find the following result. Yod 10, He 15, Vav 21, He 26. Total 72 equals 9. So, the result of Shem Hamfresh, Kabbalistically, interpreting or expanding the value of the name Yod He Vav He is 72. This is why Kabbalah mentions the 72 names of God. But that 72 should be reduced to its synthesis, which is 7 plus 2 equals 9. Notwithstanding, many Kabbalists state that Shem Hamfresh is related to Exodus chapter 14, verses 19, 20, and 21, where we read the names of God that Moses utilized in order to form the pillar of fire that guided the Israelites in the wilderness. Moses utilized the magic of the word of God in order to hold the Egyptians who were coming after them. And thus, with the word of God, he divided the Red Sea. Moses uttered the 22 names of God in order to do it. Of course, there is something hidden within those verses of chapter 14. The interpretation of the name of God is equal to 9, which is the same value of the name Adam, and is the number of the Sephirah Yesod, which is Eden, where we find the human being, the man, Adam, in the image of God. The lower Eden, Yesod, is one with Malkut. When we imagine the Garden of Eden in the Tree of Life, we have to understand that Kabbalistically, such a garden is Malkut and Yesod together, one Sephirah. In us, these two Sephiroth are separated because of the fall from Eden. Yet, when Adam was still in Eden, Malkut and Yesod were one single terrestrial paradise in the fourth dimension. Similarly, our physical body is tetradimensional. It has 4 dimensions. Physically, we see 3 with our physical senses. Yet, there is another aspect related to the 4th dimension. It is the vital body, which is represented by the Sephirah Yesod. The letter Dalet contains all of this. Dalet represents the terrestrial man at the bottom of the tree of life. Dalet is where all the archetypes are hidden. All the archetypes are in the vital body, the superior part of the physical body. The archetypes are in our Garden of Eden. The terrestrial man, Dalet, Adam, can receive all the mysteries, all the archetypes of the world of God through Shin, the fires of Chokhmah, in the central column. Aleph, the wind, in the right column, and Mem, the water, in the left column. These three mother letters, Aleph, Shin, and Mem, are related with the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. These three mother letters are related with the two serpents that rise up the central staff of the caduceus of Mercury. These three represent our esoteric anatomy. Shin, the fire, relates to our spinal column, or Shushumna. Aleph, the air, relates to the energetic channel called Od, or Pingala. Mem, the water, relates to the energetic channel called Obd, or Ida. These three forces are active and harmonious in the Adam who dwells in Eden. The Adam who is made in the image of God contains these three forces properly developed. Yet we have fallen from Eden and no longer have these three forces flowing within us in the right way. We need to create Adam within and restore the three forces to their proper places. To do this, we need to work with the water and the spirit, Shin. In order for Chokhmah, the letter Shin, which is above, to work in our spinal column, which is the middle column of the tree of life. He needs the letter Dalet, which is at the bottom of the tree where all the forces gather. The fire Shin can place the Aleph, breath of God, and the Mem, the water, around the Dalet to expel Adam, ADM. This happens only if the Dalet is there first. Thus, within Dalet, the cross, the vertical and horizontal lines of the hay, is hidden the power of Shin, the fires of the sun, which is Christ. Keter is related with the letter Aleph through the right column of the tree of life. And in the esoteric human anatomy with Pingala. Bina is related with the letter Mem through the left column of the tree of life. And in the esoteric human anatomy with Ida. Chokhmah is related with the letter Shin through the central column of the tree of life. And in the esoteric human anatomy with the channel Shushumna. This is how we need to see Aleph, Shin, and Mem macrocosmically and microcosmically in relation with the tree of life. Remember that our spinal column is a tree of life, and that in our spinal column is also hidden the tree of good and evil. Interpreting the word Adam, we see that the letter Aleph has the value of 1, Dalet the value of 4, and Mem the value of 40. The addition of 1, 4, and 40 is equals to 9, which is the same result from the name of God. This is how it is Kabbalistically explained that Adam was made in the image of God. By Shem Hemforesh, by interpreting the name Yod-He Vav-He, by expanding the name in the four worlds of the Kabbalistic universe. The name of God that is hidden in the name Adam emerges, and how Adam was made in the image of God. In order for us to become an Adam, made in the image of God, we need to have all the letters self-realized in our consciousness. Since right now, we only have them in potentiality. This is how we have to understand how the letter Dalet encloses all the 22 letters of the Word of God. Therefore, if Dalet in the name Adam encloses all the 22 letters of the Word of God, this means that the letter He, the woman, also, as it is inside Dalet, inside Adam. In esoteric Kabbalistic anatomy, the letter Vav can also represent the man. Adam, Pingala, and the letter Zayin can represent the woman. Eve, Ida. The letter Zayin is similar to the letter Vav. The difference between the letter Vav and Zayin is seen where the vertical line emerges from the Yod above. The vertical line of the Zayin protrudes from the middle of the Yod, whereas in the letter Vav, the vertical line protrudes from the right edge of the Yod. Vav represents Pingala, the man, or the masculine force. Zayin represents Ida, the woman, or the feminine aspect. If we utilize our imagination, we can see how the letter Zayin is on the left side of the letter He by means of action. We can extend the left short line until it touches the top line, thus forming the letter Het, which hides the mystery of the union of Vav and Zayin, positive and negative. Yet, in the letter He, the left line is a Zayin severed from the top of the horizontal line. Why? It is severed in order to show us that Zayin was taken out of Dalet, which, as we explained, encloses the 22 letters, placed by Chokhmah from the world of Atzilut through the central column of the Tree of Life. Dalet encloses all the 22 letters within it. This is why Adam represents the 22 arcana. We have the 22 letters or archetypes in potentiality. In order for Adam, the terrestrial man, to put the 22 archetypes into activity, there is the need to take the letter Zayin out from him. This is explained in Genesis as follows. And Yahavah Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam. Dalet went to sleep. And he slept. And God took one of his sides, one of his two ribs, Ida and Pingala, Vav and Zayin, and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the side, the Zayin, which Yahavah Elohim has taken from Adam, made he a He, a woman, and brought her unto Adam. So, if Yahweh Elohim took one of the sides of the androgynous Adam in order to make the He, the woman, it is obvious that God took Zayin out of Adam, since in the mysterious left side of the occult anatomy of Adam, we find Ida represented in the letter Zayin. God made He, the woman, by taking the letter Zayin out of Adam. In the Bible, when you read the Hebrew letters related with Eve, you find the following. And Adam said, Zot, this one, Zayin Aleph Tav. This word means this one. So this one is the letter Zayin, who is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called Isha, Aleph Shin He, because the Zayin was taken out of Ish, Aleph Yod Shin. The Dalet is a terrestrial man in the lower Eden that conceals all the letters between Aleph and Tav, the first and last letter of the Hebrew word for the. In Hebrew, we write this one with the letters Zayin, Aleph, and Tav. So this one refers to the letter Zayin, that is out from between the letters Aleph and Tav, the first and last letter of the Hebrew alphabet. God took Zayin from Adam, who encloses the entire Kabbalistic alphabet within, since Adam is represented by the letter Dalet. That receives the 22 archetypes from Chokhmah, from the Word of God, since Adam was made in the image of God. This is why we find a gap between the horizontal line and the left line of the letter He, as if telling us, this left line was severed from the horizontal line, which with the vertical right line from Adalet, in order to form the letter He. If the left line were joined to the horizontal line, then it will not be a letter He, but a letter Het. Nevertheless, many Kabbalists state that such a left isolated line is a letter Yod that forms a foot. This can be also correct, since the human androgynous being has 2 feet, the right and the left, like the 2 serpentine legs of the rooster of the Abraxas, which represents Ida and Pingala. Thus, the left foot of the letter He is Ida. And if you visualize above the gap of the letter, you can see with your imagination the letter Yod. Thus, when you sever the lower vertical line, or when you sever the lower vertical line from that Yod of Zayin, then a gap remains between the Yod and the line. Thus, in order to show the feminine aspect of the letter Dalet, we place the severed line from Zayin at the left of Dalet, in order to form the letter He. This is why the left line of He is isolated, severed, separated. This is why when Adam, as a Dalet, saw the letter Zayin severed from him, he saw a part of himself, yet with the shape of the letter He, and said, "This one," the letter Zayin, "is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called Isha," which means woman, written with Aleph, Shin, and He, because she, the vertical line of Zayin, was severed from the Yod of Ish, Aleph, Yod, Shin. The word Ish is the androgynous man, the heavenly man above, from the world of Yetzirah. Let us explain about this Shin or Ishim, which is plural. So let us comprehend the word Ish with the heart, with intuition. In Hebrew, Aleph, Yod, Shin, Yod, and Mem form the plural word Ishim. That means men. The singular word is Ish, spelled Aleph, Yod, Shin. Removing the Yod, the letters Aleph and Shin spell the word for fire. Ishim is a holy name that relates to the Kabbalistic word of Yetzirah, the world of formation, the world of the angels. Ishim refers to the androgynous Adam, explained as follows. The masculine prefix, formed by the letters Aleph and Yod, relates to the right column of the tree of life. The feminine suffix, formed by the letters Yod and Mem, relates to the left column of the tree of life. These are the two polarities of the fire, masculine and feminine. They are joined together by the letter Shin in the middle of the word. The letter Shin corresponds to the central column of the tree of life. All these aspects of the fire are hidden within the Dalet of Adam. In the word of Yetzirah, Ishim is related with Malkut. Ishim refers to the fully developed Adam. This three-dimensional world is a fourth world called Asya, which is below Yetzirah, the third world. The Adam of Asya, this physical world, is not awakened, developed. We are not self-realized. The self-realized Adam is called Ishim. We are not that. In the sacred prayer called the Invocation of Solomon, we say, Ishim, assist me in the name of Shaddai. Ishim is the name of Malkut in the world of Yetzirah. Ishim means men. It refers to real men who are made in the image of God. The Ishim are pure and holy, like God. It is a plural word. Ishim is a plural word that refers to the human androgen or angel. Human androgen. The word Ish refers to the male. In order to write the word woman in Hebrew, you take the Yod from Ish and add the letter He at the end of it. This is why Adam said, this one, Sajin, is now a He, bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called Isha, Aleph Shin He, because she was taken out of Ish, Aleph Yod Shin. So it does not say that she was taken out of Adam, but out of Ish. The terrestrial Adam is below in Malkut, Yesod. But in his spinal column is the mystery of Ishim. In other words, we should say, and Yahavah Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall upon the terrestrial Adam. And as Dalet slept, he took from the heavenly man the female fire, the Yod and Mem of the word Ishim, and made an Isha, a woman. So in the word Ishim lies also the mystery of the woman. So the woman is not, as many fundamentalist Christians or people who read the Bible literally think, only flesh and bones, as it is symbolically written. Listen, the woman encloses the whole mystery of the letter He in Malkut, the bottom of the central column of the tree of life. Let us see. The letter of the word Ishim relates to the fires of the central column of the tree of life, which relates to our spinal column and to our three brains as follows. Aleph represents the intellectual brain. Shin represents the emotional brain. And Mem represents the motor, instinctual, sexual brain. The two Yods belong to the two creative powers, the throat and the genitalia. I am referring to the two Yods of the word Ishim. The word Ishim contains the three mother letters and two Yods, the two polarities of the fire, which are also represented in Yod He Vav He, the sacred name of God, synthesized in the number 72 of all the powers of Shem Hamfresh, written with 22 letters. The woman, the Zayin, holds within herself all the mystery of creation, represented in the left isolated line of the letter He, because Zayin, Eve, was taken out of Adam. Now Adam is incomplete. This is why it is written, therefore, shall a man, shall an Ish, Aleph Yoshin, leave his father and his mother, the two polarities of Ishim, and shall cleave unto his wife, Isha, Aleph Shin He, the fire in Malkut, and they shall be one flesh. The two polarities, father and mother, are the two polarities of the fire represented in the plural word Ishim. So in the beginning, the terrestrial man, Adam, was androgynous, as the heavenly man, Ishim. But now the two polarities are separated. This is why it is stated in the Bible that the androgynous man abandoned his androgynous state of father-mother, the two polarities of the fire. Now, the man and the woman hold only one polarity. Therefore, we have to cleave unto our spouse, the other polarity of the fire, and become one triple fire in the flesh, sexual union. In order to become again and androgynous Ishim. This is the mystery of the separation of sexes, which is Kabbalistically very well explained in the Bible and very well hidden within these Hebrew letters, as you can see. This is why we explain that the letter He hides the mystery of creation, because the mystery of creation is directly related with the two creative polarities of the fire. And in the left short line of the letter He is hidden the letter Zayin, the power of Binah, which is the feminine aspect of the forces of God related with creation. The He, the woman, retains in herself all the powers of creation. Although, in order for the He, the woman, to create anything within her womb, she needs the activity of the male. But the rest, that is, the whole of creation, is made through her, as it is simply demonstrated in the word Elah, Aleph Lamed He, which means goddess. Elah, the goddess generations of the heavens and of the earth, when in her, in the letter He, were created, in the day that Yod He Vav He made the earth and the heavens. This is written in Genesis chapter 2, verse 4. So, goddess can be written with Aleph Lamed He or Aleph Lamed Vav He. You can say Elah or Eloah. He also represents the terrestrial woman. This is why we state in many lectures that the word Yod He Vav He means Yod, phallus, He, uterus, Vav, man, He, woman. This letter represents the two polarities. Now, it is written that the woman, the Isha, the He, was taken from the man, Ish. This is explained as follows. When you take the middle Yod out of the word Ish, Aleph, Yod, Shin, and by stretching it, you make with that Yod or dot the short line of the letter He, that without such a line is just a dalet at the very bottom of the tree of life. And this is how the woman appears as He, with the feminine aspect represented with a short vertical line at her left side as a creative, active force. You remember about the word Haggadah that has two He's. Let us talk about Haggadah now in order for you to comprehend more about this letter He, the woman. The word Haggadah means to tell. This word has two He. One He at the beginning of the word and the other He at the end of the word. United in the middle by the letters Gimel and Dalet that we described in previous lectures. The letter Gimel represents the inner man, the Ishim. The letter Dalet represents the terrestrial man, Adam. The union of these letters makes the word God, which is represented in the union of the two, Gimel and Dalet. In the Bible, there is a tribe named the tribe of God, G-A-D, God. But in Hebrew, it's written with Gimel and Dalet, just that. So the word Haggadah begins with Hey and ends with Hey. The first Hey is in the At, the throat, and belongs to Gimel, the heavenly man. The second Hey is in Yesod, the genitalia, and belongs to Dalet, the terrestrial man. They represent the two Hey, the one above and the one below, which explains how God creates, or how God utters. Haggadah. This is why when you read the first words of the book of Genesis, you read, Bereshith bara Elohim. In the beginning God created. Then you read, the, which in Hebrew is the word at, Aleph and Tav. Aleph is the first letter, and the letter Tav is the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet. So this short word is showing us that when it is written, Bereshit bara Elohim, at, the word at is synthesized the whole alphabet. It's synthesizing the whole alphabet of the Word of God. Because without the word at, the alphabet, Elohim cannot create. Then the next word is Ha-Shamayim. Behold, the letter He appears in the beginning of the word. The translation in English is the heavens. Ad Ha-Shamayim. This He means that Elohim is placing the 22 letters hidden between the Aleph and Tav in order to make Shamayim, the heavens. So, through the letter He above, the Elohim created. This is why we stated that the letter He means creation. Then, and the earth appears, which is another mystery that you understand when you know the meaning of the Hebrew words. The, at, and the. Here appears again the letter Aleph and Tab, but joined to the letter Vav, which symbolizes the spinal column. So heaven above and the earth below. And the at means from above through Vav, the spinal column, at Aleph Tav, the Word of God, the 22 letters, created Haaretz, which means the earth, through the letter He below. So this is how, in a simple manner, the two He of the word Yod, He, Vav, He appears in the first words of Genesis. We are explaining them just in the surface, because the meaning of all of them implies a lot of wisdom. Moses wrote Genesis in synthesis in order to Kabbalistically explain a lot. Thus, when you meditate on it, you discover how everything was made only by meditating in the first words of Genesis. Bereshith bara Elohim at ha-shamayim ve'at haaretz. Translation: in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. Heaven implies dimensions. Because the first ha-shamayim is that, which is the beginning of the world of creation, which is the world of Bria. Ha-shamayim. And then it says that Ve'at, and the spinal column, the Vav, the 22 letters again, Haaretz. But in many lectures we explain how it is done. That the earth itself, which is the letter He below, the word of action in matter, is the outcome of 3 previous cosmic manifestations. Saturn, the Saturnian epoch, solar, the solar epoch, lunar, the lunar epoch. If you see in the Tree of Life how Saturn is related with Binah, and the Sun with Chokhmah, Tiferet, and Yesod with the moon. You can see how the 3 cosmic manifestations were manifested that we call Va, the Vav, cosmically speaking. And was doing through the word. That's why I repeat again the famous first verses of the Gospel of John. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. But when we talk about the Word, we're talking about the 22 letters, the 22 archetypes that are hidden within Chokhmah. They descend in that way, you see. So when you read the heavens and the earth, common people think they're talking about the atmosphere, right? The clouds and all that exists above this earth, and they're talking the earth is a solid matter here. No. Heavens relates to supradimensions. Heavens relates to previous manifestations, because this is what we call involution. Do not mistake this word with devolution, which are different. To devolve is to return to the chaos. To involve is to descend the divine forces into the matter. They are coming from above to below. That implies what we always state, that God creates to the Vav. To the Vav is how that force descends. That's why the Bible explains in many times, and God said, and God created, and God said, because He is the word, the Logos. And means the Vav, the letter. Through it is doing it. But it's always that Vav with the letter He. Ve'at Haaretz. You see? Even the sound of the letter He is like a breath inhaled. Ha. Ha. Through the throat. But of course, this is why the breath of God and the throat is interrelated. Huh? What is the breath of God? You know that, right? Because this is the 5th lecture, and the first was Aleph, which is the breath, the wind, the air. And that's why you see here that the spelling of the letter He is Aleph there. Hey. You see how beautiful it is? Hey is the breath of God pronounced, is Aleph, through the uterus, the cosmic uterus, the divine mother. So Aleph is the father, represented only in the Yod. Because I repeat again, Aleph encloses the 3 primary forces, the 3 Yods, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, Ketech, Chokhmah, Binah. So when we pronounce the Aleph, we are naming the Trinity. And of course, the He is the feminine aspect of that Trinity. Because remember that He, which is the woman, was taken from the Yod. of Ish, which is the man. And that's why the woman was called not Ish, but Isha, with the letter He at the end. This letter He at the end implies always feminine. That's why the word Eloah ends with He, means feminine. So all the words, the suffix, which is the letter, the He, which is always utilized at the end of the Hebrew words, implies feminine. Adama is another word which is feminine. So, are you getting this? Because this is very important for us to understand what is the He. The throat is the He, is a uterus. Because God created through the throat He, Haaretz, and Hashamayim, the whole universe. This is how we understand that people that think that God is masculine are half atheists, because they are separating the femininity of God from the masculinity. God cannot do anything only being male. He needs the female aspect, which is very hidden in the mysteries of the letters, of the Hebrew letters. And letter, for instance, in Hebrew, when you said a letter, you write Aleph, Vav, Tav, Ot. This is how you pronounce Ot. Aleph, Vav, Tav. Ot, that is letter, which also means sign. So, but what is important here in this word Ot, Aleph, Vav, Tav, is that, again, we find the beginning of the alphabet, Aleph, and the end of the alphabet, and in the middle, the letter Vav. Again, we find that all the alphabet descends to the letter Vav, because the letter itself, the word, the spell of the word letter in Hebrew is Ot, Aleph, Vav, Tav. And that letter, although the whole alphabet is hidden within Adam. It comes into my mind, for instance, talking about this sign that we are talking here, which is also letter in Hebrew. Something from the Old Testament. In the book of Isaiah, the prophet Isaiah, it is written, or it is read, in the chapter 7, verse 11. Ask thee a sign, or a letter, in other words, from Yod He Vav He, thy Elohim. Ask it either in the depths, the bottom of the word, or in the high above, the first letter He. But when it says ask to Yod Hava a letter, a sign, an Ot, of course, you see, well, the name of God is Yod He Vav He. I am asking a sign, a letter from Him. Well, above or below. Well, below is the He, and above is another He too. That's the sign. Which is a mystery. And that's why in Matthew 12, verse 38, it is written, then certain of the scribes, you know, the scribes are called the intellectuals. Those are study the Torah at that time, the Kabbalah very well, and of the Pharisees, who were also doing at that time the work of the Kabbalah, the rituals and all that. They said, Master, referring to Jesus, we will see a sign from thee. If you read as literally in the Gospels, a sign, you might think a miracle, right? Yeah, of course. Okay. Let us say that he's asking for a miracle. But the scripture says a sign, which means in Hebrew a letter. And then, but he answered and said unto them, an evil and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, a letter. And there shall no sign or letter given unto it, except the sign, the letter, again, or the prophet Jonah. Yod, Vav, Nun, He. That's how you write Jonah in Hebrew. Yod, Vav, the letter Nun, and He. Only in that name of Jonah, all of those letters or signs that Jesus is giving is the whole secret of the self-realization. The Yod, the He, the Vav, and the Nun. You know, the Nun is the fish, which is a symbol of ancient Christianity. That is related with the seed, because the letter He relates also to seed. And for as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the He, the valley of the well, as well the Son of Man will be 3 nights and 3 days within the heart of the earth, which is also the letter He in Kabbalah. So in other words, Jesus is directly talking about the mystery of the whole work that we have to perform. The whale, the fish, is the letter Nun. And the He of the letter Jonah is precisely the heart of the earth. Yod, He, Yod, Vav, Nun, He, Jonah. When people read that, of course, in the Gospels, they interpret that in different manners, because every symbol is interpreted in 7 manners. But here, Kabbalistically speaking, since Jesus was talking to the scribes and Pharisees, these scribes and Pharisees were Kabbalists. It's not like in this day and age you think. People ask a sign to the Gnostics in this day and age. Well, it could be of Christians of any denomination or other religions. But at the time when Jesus was in the Holy Land, the people that were around him in the beginning were Jews. All of them were Kabbalists. And they knew about the letters. Like in Isaiah, it says, ask a sign to Yod-Hava. He is always saying ask. But why? Because ask also means, is related with He, or take also. The word take, usually related with the letter He. And that's why when you talk about the letter He, you always associate that with the Divine Mother, the feminine aspect of the holy name of God, the number 5. In Gnosticism, we know that the Divine Mother Kundalini unfolds in 5 aspects. We are not going to talk about those 5 aspects because there is already a lecture there related with those 5 aspects of the Divine Mother Kundalini. But I'm going just to point the 5. The Divine Mother Space, the first He. The Mother Nature, the second He. Our own particular individual mother, the third He. Then, the Divine Mother Death, which annihilates the egos in the womb of the earth, which is hell. whether through initiation, if we enter into the path, or by the forces of nature in the eighth circle, the center of the earth, which we call inferno or hell. And the fifth aspect is that hay related with our sexual energy, the instinctual force that initiates that energy, sexual force in us. It's called the Divine Mother, the elemental Divine Mother, related to our instincts. All of us have that. So the Divine Mother is 5. And this 5 is also related in Kabbalah with the 5 souls. In the lecture of Gimel, we talked to you about Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama, the 3 souls that all of us have. Nefesh is the animal soul, which is very strong in us. It's that animality that characterizes us. That donkey of Apuleius is that Nefesh on which Jesus was riding when entering into Jerusalem. Was riding the donkey. This is what we had to do, to ride on Nefesh. That's the first soul. The second soul is Ruach, the intellectual, emotional soul that all of us have, related with our intellect and emotions. In Neshama, we have just part of it. Is the essence, the consciousness that we have within. That's Neshama. And of course, we had to develop those souls in order to develop each part of those souls in us positively. But there is other 2 souls related with the letter He. The 4th soul related with the letter He is Haya. This Haya is life. Hai. You see in Hebrew when you said to life, Lahayim. Hai, life. Otz Haim, the tree of life that we are talking here. So Haya relates, of course, to the feminine aspect of divinity. The Divine Mother above, which we call the Divine Mother Kundalini, that soul that is above, that we said is a Divine Mother inside. That Haya, we explain in other lectures, relate with the 4 creatures of Ezekiel that we call Hayot, or the 4 manifestations of the forces of Haya, the Divine Mother Nature. You remember that the Sphinx in Egypt, the Sphinx in Egypt represents all those forces of Mother Nature, which Ezekiel talks about too. The lion, the eagle, the ox, and the man. So always the face, represented by the face of the man. Those are the 4 aspects of Hayot. And relate to the soul Haya, which is related with all the forces of nature. Why we say that is a feminine aspect of God? This Haya is a feminine aspect of God that we are talking here. It's related to the He. But Haya is written with Het and Yod. It is because in the book of Genesis it is stated that when Adam wants to give a name to his wife, to his Isha, he says, and you shall be called Hava. Het, Vav, He, Hava. And you said, why Hava has to be with life? Because you are the mother of Hai, life. So the Yod of Hai becomes the Vav, the letter Vav of Haya, or Hava. So Hava, Eve, in other words, in English, the wife of Adam, encloses the mysteries of Haya. That's why if we want to self-realize ourselves, we need a woman. Because the woman encloses all the mysteries of nature, of Haya. Because it's life within her. And she shows that practically by making in her womb a physical life. So God works through her. If we want to work in the path of the self-realization as a man, we need a woman. Well, the woman will say, well, I have all of those forces within me. But if she needs to put in activity all those forces within her, she needs the activity of the man inside of her. In other words, she needs the phallus of the man. Because by herself cannot do it. Because the man has the seed. And the woman is the land, is the hay. You see how beautiful is that? And that's what that Haya is, the divine mother, the higher aspect. Because there are many types of Haya within us. But the higher aspect of that Haya, that soul of the world, is the divine mother Kundalini above, that should incarnate, or better said, should swallow us. Because that's one of the mysteries of the self-realization. When one make an equilibrium in your three lower souls, Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama, when your Neshama incarnates in you as a father, the inner Chesed within you, you become a master. A reincarnated master. What is a reincarnated master? Somebody that has neshama within. That neshama is that is written in the Bible. And God blew the neshama of God inside Adam. And Adam became a living soul. That neshama is precisely the incarnation of Chesed and Geburah in the master. In the initiation, when you enter, you start working with nefesh, with your animality. As Paul of Tarsus says, first is the animal and then is the spiritual. Because there are many people that want to start working with neshama and to have ecstasies and to self-realize the neshama within them without working with nefesh. It is stupid to work like that. First, make of that nefesh, of that animal soul, human. Means transmute your seed. Be chaste. Transform your emotional and your mind, ruach, in you, in a positive way. And this is done through initiations. Meaning, the creating of the solar bodies, the annihilation of the ego. When the ego is annihilated, and the creation of the bodies are done, then Neshama enters into you, which is your inner being, your master. There is an incarnated master. Somebody with ego is not an incarnated master. The ego has to be annihilated. That incarnated master is always has always been celebrated in Tibet when the incarnation of a master, because it's a great thing. To be an incarnated master is not an easy thing. It's a great work. But that incarnated master that is taking the direct path has to be swallowed by Haya, the Divine Mother. And the Divine Mother doesn't eat garbage. You see that? You think that the Divine Mother will say, Mother, eat me. No. The Divine Mother cannot eat you, cannot swallow you if you are filthy. She only eats holy things. She doesn't eat refuse. So therefore, that neshama has to be purified. This is what is called to transmute the gold, the lead into gold in alchemy. And when all the bodies of the true men, the physical body, the vital body, the astral body, the mental body, the causal body, the butic body, and the atmic body are very well purified, make gold,
the Divine Mother swallowed each one of them. And then the master becomes a Haya in the earth. In other words, a serpent, a Naga. This is the process of the letter He. Because that swallowed, the letter He swallows the man. And then that man is showing all the powers of the Divine Mother. Because it's one with him. That is the Haya with him. And the last process is to be swallowed. You know, this is another thing here. First you incarnate the three souls below, or purify them. But the other process of the two other souls, Haya and Yehida, they don't incarnate in you, they swallow you. And that's why in most of the rituals in the ancient times, they said that the Lord doesn't eat garbage. He doesn't eat refuse. It means that we have to purify and to be worthy, or to be swallowed by God, to be taken like Enoch into heaven. How does it happen? When Yehida, which is the one, the singular, the unique in Hebrew, which is that Aleph, Keter, which is symbolized by the eagle, comes and swallows Haya. In other words, it is a symbol in the flag of Mexico. The eagle swallowing the serpent means Yehida swallowing Haya. And then the initial becomes a feathered serpent. This is the whole work of the He, the whole work of creation, with the five souls: Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Haya, and Yehida. All of that is the mystery of the letter He. And of course, how do we start doing that? Many Kabbalists always point at this verse in the book of Genesis that says, "Take seed for yourselves." Let me look for it because I had it here. The word take is related with the letter He, which means to take. And of course, when Joseph was sold to Egypt, Joseph went into Egypt and became, of course, the dreamed interpreter of the Pharaoh. And when that Pharaoh had that mysterious dream of the 7 skinny cows and fat cows, Joseph told to the Pharaoh, "Oh, that's the mystery of He, the letter He. There will be 7 years of famine in Egypt. But before that, there will be 7 years of abundance. My advice is hide all the seed of the days of years of abundance in order to feed the 7 years of famine." And this is how Joseph, which symbolizes, of course, that archetype Iosephas, which is in Malkut, start working in the initiation. Because 7 is initiation, the 7 days of Genesis, etc., etc. So when the other archetypes related with the world of Israel descend into Egypt, as is written in Genesis, they are looking for seed, which they know Egypt. Gather all of them. That Egypt, of course, is Malkut. Then it is written that Joseph told them, "Take seed for yourselves." And in the word take seed of yourself is hidden in the Bible. The letter He and the letter Aleph. Spelled, how it spells. Take, it says, right? But only by seeing that, the Kabbalah says, oh, take. And it's the spelling of the letter He. The whole mystery is there. Take seed for yourselves. Of course, many Kabbalists interpret this in different manners. But when you are in initiate, when you have intuition, you know that take for yourself seed means transmute for yourself your seed. Because the seed is in the sexual. That is the meaning of that take for yourself seed. Transmute for yourself your seed. It is a reference to the sexual act for self-realization, which is the godly way of giving that in Hebrew is called kosher. You know, you are familiar with that word kosher because you go to the supermarket, you said, this salt is kosher, meaning it's sacred. The salt of the earth is the semen. You want to make it kosher, transmute it. But if you reach the orgasm, if you spill in the hay of God, then there is no kosher. To eat kosher, as it is demanded in the Bible, implies to transmute the sexual energy, to make it holy, to the sexual act. In the Hebrew language, letter He denotes femininity. So therefore, you have to know how to take that seed. Take seed for yourselves. Because you have the seed. You are physically the letter He, Egypt. And that seed is there. You transmute it, and then you, of course, acquire the creation of the Adam into the image of God within you. How do you do it? The letter He hides the mystery. Why? Simple. When you use your intuition, when you study. Listen. He is in the throat and is accompanied with the letter Aleph, which is the wind, which is the air, which is the breath of God. And the letter He encloses the mysteries of nature, of the four creatures that we said in the lectures. The lion is the sight. The ox is the ear. The nose related with the eagle. Tifereth. When we go to Tifereth, which is the nose, Tifereth is related with Ruach. Ruach in Hebrew is wind, which is Aleph. And Tifereth, the Ruach, is precisely the soul, the human soul. Now, how do you do it? The He, the seed, is in the sexual organs. You know that. The seed is that Zara. The sexual seed in the woman and in the man in the sexual organs. How do you take that seed? How do you feed yourself? Take seed for you. Make it kosher. Feed your soul, in other words. Then you have to understand, well, my nose, according to the Ezekiel, animals of Ezekiel, is related with the eagle. Yeah, why? Because in the root of my nose, I have Aleph, which is the wind, the atom of the Father. So therefore, when I breathe, I take the breath of God into my lungs, the Aleph of God into my lungs. So, Tifereth is the breath, meaning that you have to do it. That's why the whole realization lies on the human soul, because you have to breathe, you have to transmute, but you have all the elements in your head and in your body, in your sex. So the clue of sexual transmutation, of the taking of the seed, which is the godly giving of God in our body, is in the respiration. When you breathe through your nose, remember that occult anatomy teaches that the nostrils are connected to the testicles and to the ovaries. So when you breathe through your nostrils, the breath of God is taking or is giving you the seed from your ovaries and testicles. Through Ida and Pingala. Without the breath, you cannot transmute. Whether as a single person, when you do your sexual transmutation, you do it with the pranayama, respiration, knowing that the nostrils, the Tiferet, the eagle of Ezekiel, is there, connected to Aleph. And that's why the Adam is precisely the combination of Aleph and the respiration. This is how you breathe, how you perform, you make, you eat your seed. That is what is called kosher. Kosher. Remember that. It's not just to eat through your mouth. It's to know how to breathe and to take the seed in order to receive the blessings of God. And of course, you take that seed from your hay. The lower hay that symbolizes the sexual organ. Remember that Hava, Eve, symbolizes the sexual organ, and also the woman. That's why the woman was honored and respected in the temples. Because without the Isis, without the priestess, without the woman, it's impossible to create. So, married man and married woman, they unite and they breed. And to the breeding, take the seed into their souls. And this is how that nefesh is transformed, that ruach is transformed. And it is all the process. That's why we said in Gnosticism, the whole path is sexual. But you have to make sex holy. You have to take the seed for you. Not to spill the seed, because that was the sin of Adam and Eve. Instead of breathing and taking the seed from their own bodies, they reached the orgasm, and of course, they threw away all the seed that God was giving to them to feed their souls. And this is how they separated. And they didn't become kosher, but filthy. Ra, pollution. Polluted, in other words. Do you follow this? Are you getting this? The mystery of the letter He? Because in itself, He implies 5 aspects, as I said, in ourselves. Thought, speech, and action. Thought, there are 2 types of thoughts. Subjective and objective. You know that relation with the mind in us. Objective, when that comes from God. Subjective, when it comes from the ego. And the matter of speech, which is the vertical line of the letter He, is also objective and subjective. We can talk about subjective things here. Most of the time, people talk about subjective things related to the ego. But objective, related with objective reasoning. Things that come from the heart. When you receive from the heart. But when you receive, you give. That's the letter He. To give from God. To give that which is divine. And of course, all of those aspects that you see, 2 types of thoughts, 2 types of speech, are done through action, which is the representation of that rib, that side, which is Haba. action. Because when you transmute, then you unite that left rib with your head, which is your yod. And this is how, through your actions, you religar, or religare, you unite your soul to God. And through your action, that's why you see the letter, that line is separated. Because either you unite that line to the top of the letter He, or you keep it as it is, disjoint, and project it down to hell by spilling the seed. So in the action, whether you do it or don't do it. So that's why when we talk about action, it's just one. Either above or below. Right? There should be only one, not two. Either you do it or don't do it. If you don't do it, and then you just speak subjectively. You just talk subjectively. If you do it, then you develop objectivity within you in both thought and speech. Do you have questions?
How does this relate with the verse that says, be fruitful and multiply, and how people use it as a pretext to spill the seed?
How does it relate to be fruitful and multiply, right? Yeah, there are many excuses by many people that God said, be fruitful and multiply. Therefore, if we don't spill the seed, we don't multiply. But remember very clear and understand that the Bible doesn't say be fruitful and fornicate. It says multiply. To multiply, it is not necessary, it is not necessary to fornicate in order to multiply. In the animal level, yes. Because the animal is irrational, instinctual. The animal loses the seed in a very brute way because he doesn't reason. But reason was given to us in order for us to choose between to spill it or not. So of course, when we learn how to transmute the seed, we also learn how to release only one sperm in order to fecundate a woman. Because in order for the woman to become pregnant in the physical plane, she needs only one sperm. Not millions. If you go to the field, for instance, and you open a little hole, and you start, you say, I'm going to learn to plant, let's say, corn. And you open a little hole, and you put few seeds. With one is enough. You don't see the people that are doing that work putting millions of seeds in a little hole. There will be waste, right? So of course, in the level in which we are right now, we multiply as beasts because we use nefesh in order to multiply. So in other words, we don't know how to take seed for ourselves. If we learn how to take seed of ourselves, then we make of the sexual act kosher, a sacred thing, a holy thing. And then we take the seed and transmute. And easily, by the will of God, a sperm can be released and the woman can be pregnant. There are many couples that were pregnant in that way. When you ask, you also can have that privilege. But in this case, Binah, the Holy Spirit, is the one that does it. This is not your will. This is not that, oh, I want a child. No. You ask a child to your inner being because you respect him. It says, my God, I would like to have a child in the physical world. And then he says, I will give it to you. You just perform the sexual act, and I will take one sperm from your husband for you. And you will be pregnant. That's the way, the human way. But the sentence in the book of Genesis says, be fruitful and multiply. Right? To be fruitful is, as the Master Jesus said, for their fruits you will know them. Meaning that we have to develop the fruits of the tree of life and the fruits in the positive way of the tree of good and evil, knowledge. So when we are fruitful, when we are very developed and adult, then we can multiply. Doesn't say multiply and be fruitful. First, be fruitful. How you are fruitful? By transmuting your sexual energy, by inhaling the seed. There's no other way. But in this day and age, as you know, a lot of people have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 children. And they don't care about being fruitful. Just they want to multiply. And that's why this society is a chaos, because everybody is multiplying without caring a bit of being fruitful. Yeah?
To explain the importance of the death of the ego in order for the transmutation of sexual energy to be holy.
To explain the death of the ego, in order for...
The importance of the death of the ego.
Of course. The ego has to die. The importance of the death of the ego in order to make the sexual act holy. It is important for us to meditate every day, to comprehend every day our nefesh, our animality. Remember that according to evolution, we come from the animal kingdom. And if you observe the animals, they fornicate, they adulterate. That's normal for them. So now that we are in this human level, we have to learn how not to be an animal. And for that we have to control nefesh, the donkey. This is what Jesus taught by riding the donkey and entering into Jerusalem. You want to enter into Jerusalem, the higher levels, you have to tame your donkey. And for that, of course, you have to comprehend your donkey, because your donkey works through your mind, through your heart, and through your sex. Your donkey is lust, anger, pride, envy, vanity, laziness, gluttony, etc., etc. That's your donkey. Those animal aggregates that we have to be annihilated. And the way of doing it is by meditating, comprehending them in meditation. And of course, in the sexual act is how you destroy them, by knowing how to utilize the sexual energy of the Divine Mother.
A question from the internet. We have to work with our nefesh first. Then what is the next step?
The next step is emotion. First, we have to, it says, how do we have to work with nefesh? And then what? Well, we have to work with our 3 brains. Remember that the emotions and intellect is related with ruach. And nefesh is related with the flesh, with the bones, with the sexual energy, with all of those elements that we have, unfortunately, in the subconsciousness, in consciousness, and infraconsciousness, which you call ego. That's nefesh, trapped, of course. So we have to purify that nefesh through the transmutation and by the annihilation of the ego. And then the ruach develops in a superior manner. And of course, that is when we create soul. The soul has to be created by the transmutation of the energy. That's all are the solar bodies or electronic bodies that we have to develop. And the culmination of the development of Ruach ends in Tiferet. Ruach is a thinking soul, but remember that we have 2 types of mind. Abstract mind, which is Tiferet, and concrete mind, which is Netzach. So when you reach Tiferet, which is the abstract mind, the complete development of Ruach in the superior manner is ended. And then you reach the level of mastery. But then you have to work more with your Ruach and your Nefesh to purify it more in order to incarnate Neshama. which is Geburah and Hesed, the monad. And when you incarnate Neshama, which is Hesed and Geburah inside of you, then you prepare yourselves working higher, higher, and higher, in order to be swallowed by Chaya. And when Chaya swallows you, then Yehidah has to swallow you. When that happens, the 5 souls are already there. And then we have the pentagrammaton, the tetragrammaton, the 5-pointed star. You see there? The star of the pentagram is precisely the symbol of that perfect man into the image of God. Why? Because in the right arm of that pentagram is written Adam, right? Which additions, which sums 9. And in the right is Yod He Vav He, which we explain also make the addition of 9. So that's the Adam Yod Hava, the perfect man into the image of God.
How much ego can a single person eliminate?
A single person can annihilate a 50% as much. This is according with the teachings of the Master Samael Aun Weor. Because the Divine Mother receives more weapons, strength in the sexual act. There is no ego that can't tolerate the fire in the sexual act and not to be destroyed. But a single person with patience in a lot of prayer can annihilate 50%.
What would a single person like that be like? Who had done it 50%?
Or like Parahamsa Yogananda, for instance, is one of the examples. Parahamsa Yogananda is one of those yogis that came to the United States and was teaching Kriya Yoga. And he was single all of his life, but worshiping the Divine Mother. All the songs, all the writings of Yogananda is to his Divine Mother. Of course, he awoke a lot. It's an awakening. Elemental. No master. Maybe master of minor mysteries, but no mayor, because he didn't create the internal solar bodies. But for him, if he returns, or if he already returned, to create the solar bodies will be easy, because he's awakened, 50%. So like him, many single people can reach if they dedicate themselves as Yogananda seriously to the work. But remember, Yogananda was worshiping the Divine Mother, He, the letter He, inside of him, and was respecting his sexual energy. As a single, yeah. The best thing for him is now to worship the Divine Mother with a wife. If he,
Mantras related with the letter A.
but there are many mantras. Ha is the one mantra. The mantra Ha related with ether. It is related with the throat. The mantra of the mental, I don't remember now the mantra of the mental body. Hond. Yeah, it's written there in the book Occult Medicine, the mantra of the mental body. Paul. Do you have another question? I hope that, the seed, as you see, will be in your consciousness. You might say this lecture is very cryptic. It is, but it's a seed. If you inhale and meditate in it, you will have all the knowledge that we are pointing here, because I was just giving you the tips of the whole knowledge that encloses the letter He. When you really meditate and see that, I couldn't say it more. But I don't know if you can take it. You know what I mean? With other Kabbalists, it's easy. But when you are learning Kabbalah, it's difficult. That's why I always cite the Bible, in order for you to understand. Look in the beginning, in the Hebrew letters. The letter He is there in the moment when God is creating the heaven, and in the moment when He's creating the earth. He ha shamayim ha aretz. Because without the He, there's no creation. That's why He encloses the mystery of creation. Thank you very much.
The presentation of this lecture was made possible by donations from listeners like you. Help Gnostic Radio to help others. Make a donation by visiting gnosticradio.org. For questions and deeper understanding of this lecture, we invite you to explore the wide variety of resources available on our websites. Thank you for your support. May all beings be happy.